So I think the broader goal always is to like find new things to work on. Mane, with every zine that we've had out there so far, Mane, every one of them I'd like to think is different. Something new, trying new things, doing new things, telling a different story. Um, so I think this fanzine that we did with the Earth Pillow, আমার একটা interest ছিল, like I said, in rock music with darker themes and darker sounds. So that interest was there from before, but I think working with this band and their music has sort of reinvigorated that interest. So
Mm.
even in terms of color, if you look at the zines, like earlier, all the zines were in black and white.
Mm.
Uh, Before this, there was a cycle where suddenly I felt like playing with colors. So you see, there's some color that has come into the zines
Mm.
slowly. And these themes were also like Moss Green is about childhood and nostalgia around childhood. So color sort of works with
Mm.
goes with that. And these two zines also, most of the zines have that dark tone is there somehow in all the zines. Somehow I've noticed
Mm.
this. It happened very deliberately. It just
Mm.
happened in a natural way. Kintu
Mm.
reflecting on it, I've seen that this like the kind of music, like I said, that I like, the movies that I like, have this
Mm.
kind of darkness in them, and that has come out in the work also, which I like, which is interesting to me.
Mm.
Are And in the last year, I think there was this movement towards more light based themes, which came with
Mm.
color. But now with this music, it's going back cycling. It's like a cyclic thing.
Mm.
These last two stories, the last scene that I'm planning to do a newer version of. It's called No Exit. Um, so basically, if I'll just show you the influences of it, that should make it little. So one of the uh, couple of so I love this series of novels also by this author called Jeet Thayil. So
Okay.
have you heard about him? He was a poet.
No.
Then he
No.
started writing novels,
Chocolate.
and
Narcopolis, I heard, particularly. I've also heard about it, Narcopolis.
so
But
this is sort of like a trilogy, and it's interesting because it's not narratively they're not connected, but again they've got this darkness that is there in each of them. So Narcopolis is sort of a story of Bombay, the city of Bombay, and opium, the drug, you know. And the second story is the main character is a composite of artists, some artist characters. One of them is this writer called Dom Moraes, whose work I got into and really liked as well. This painter called F. Souza, F.N. Souza,
Mhm.
and another painter. They were Bangalore-based artists, and they had very chaotic lives.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay.
so this book is basically about them, and the third book is sort of autobiographical, I think. So Jeet Thayil's wife, either she committed suicide or she died very young. He married a woman much younger than he was.
Okay.
He was in his 40s. I think she was in her mid 20s. She was an editor and she died. And there are all kinds of rumors out there about how she died. But this book is basically about how the central character in the story processes that grief after
Mm.
his wife dies.
Mm.
So like you see in all three of these, there's like this darkness that is there in the three. So and funny coincidence, his name is Jeet Thayil. One of the bands that I'm really getting into is this band called Soundgarden. They're based out of Seattle in the United States, and they
You
had a
know,
guitarist,
Soundgarden.
Soundgarden, yeah.
It's a.
And they have this guitarist called Kim Thayil, who is also a Malayali. He's a second
Mm.
or third generation Malayali, which is interesting
Mm.
connection.
Actually.
Soundgarden's also my,
Mm.
my favorite band. So this artwork here, I don't know if I have it. Yes, so one of their songs is called Black Hole Sun, and there's a collage that I made, which was inspired by that song. There's a picture of my head only, and there's a
Mm.
black hole that I've sort of made a collage, a digital collage of the black hole. And
Mm.
just to give you an idea of how AI also works, if I gave this image that I
Mm.
created based inspired by this image to the AI, and the AI created this image, which is an interesting interpretation of the
Mm.
second, which is my image. So I
Mm.
was inspired by the first image and I
Mm.
created this image, and then AI was inspired by this image and created this image. So
Nice. No. Collaboration. Mm.
yeah, it's interesting, right? How you can see like between this image and this image there are some Similarity, they're quite different also. But I like to think that dark tone, that tone of that image, that feel of it is there. Anyway, so coming to No Exit, what I'm working on now, I'm like having fun, like enjoy exploring these darker themes. um like if you see, that dark theme is there in the music of Nirvana, it's there in Slayer, it's there in Norwegian black metal, it's there in Nick Cave's music as well. And this last zine called No Exit, these are some of the things I was inspired by to work on this. So Jean-Paul Sartre is a French
Mm.
philosopher
Mm-hmm.
who has a play called No Exit, which is basically hell. Like the
Yeah, yeah.
funda of that is, it's about hell, right? So, and it's interesting. If you read it, have you read it?
Yeah,
Do you recall?
sorry, মানে it's a funny coincidence. আমি তোমার স্লাইড দেখার সময় so
Hmm.
no, particular no exit এই particular ছাত্রের this text so
Yeah.
যখন আমি কলকাতায় ছিলাম so we have a very common friend into theater and play so one of
Hmm.
the collaboration I did with them to make a poster for like the ছাত্রের Bengali versions of
Oh,
no exit so this no exit is so again acha this is the same play yeah
yeah,
amazing
it's
amazing
just
text
it's interesting, and
uh,
it's interesting because it's like three people in a room, and
hmm,
but it's hell.
hmm,
So the idea was like to explore the concept of hell. That
hmm,
was the idea. And there's this song by this band called Black Sabbath, also, which is one of the original sort of heavy hard rock dark bands. So, and they have this song called Into the Void, which is basically that ki Earth has been depleted completely. So there is this people who live on this space go into space to find another home. You know, that's what the
another
song,
home hmm,
another home, because Earth is depleted
hmm,
completely. Can't live on the Earth. And there's this other film called The Road, which was originally based on this book by this American author called Cormac McCarthy, uh, which has a theme of a father and son. The story is basically a father and son in a post-apocalyptic world.
আচ্ছা
And the imagery in this movie is very beautiful. Like it's very dark and sad, but very beautiful at the same time. So these were the things that sort of inspired this story, No Exit. So No Exit was a story that I'd written in back in 2017-18, and আমি draw একটু drawing করি, like I showed you, like I made drawings আমার বন্ধুর জিনের জন্য, but when I wrote this story, I wrote it, I didn't draw anything, and I had very fixed idea of what the visuals I wanted, but I couldn't draw them. So when AI tools came, I realized that since I knew what I wanted, I could actually generate the pictures that I wanted because I had the story. So I used it to illustrate the story. And this is basically the synopsis of the story. Like the story is told from the point of view of ki Earth is depleted, and there are these people who've left on these rockets to find a better place. But what everyone can't live on the rocket. So what happens to the people who stay back? The people who stay back are the ones who are going to die on Earth. So what is their perspective? So like that song, Into the Void, was from the perspective of the people who left. And
hmm,
I movie is also there, no, Christopher Nolan's movie
hmm,
Interstellar. It's
hmm,
also told from similar perspective, from the perspective of those who left.
hmm,
But what happens to the people who
hmm.
stay?
Stay back
Who stay back, and like it's a life without, it's hell basically, you could say, in a way, right? So exploring that concept of hell from that perspective. So I realized when I printed it again first time, ki there are parts of the story I realized that people are not understanding, translating the way I intended for them to understand. So again, that thing is there, no, how can I improve
hmm,
this? So I think one of the next projects that I want to work on is just pick this up again and polish it a bit more, like I polished moss green.
hmm,
So that's one thing I want to do. Another story I had written in when I was in college. So engineering colleges, and I don't know about other colleges. I've studied in engineering. Ki suicides are not very common, but you have, like, generally, if you are in an engineering college, if you're there for 4 years, at least one or two people will commit suicide,
hmm,
like statistically speaking. So it's something that um confronts you, like someone someone you've seen, even if you don't know personally, you might recognize his name or his face, and then you
Hmm.
hear that this person killed himself. And
Hmm.
how do you feel about that? Like, how
Hmm.
does that affect you? Even if you don't know that person, how does it
Hmm.
affect you? So the story is about that. So there's another story that I've written and I haven't been able to make the drawings for. Even with AI, I wasn't happy with what I'm getting. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
figure out. I want to do a comic. Now, Indie Comics Fest has said you need to bring proper comic. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I have one proper comic, I can go to Indie Comics Fest again, you know. So
Hmm.
I want to do like a very like try and do my version of a conventional comic with that story. I've been reading a lot of manga,
Hmm.
so um,
একটা
and seeing like yeah.
একটা লাইক আই ডোন্ট নো লাইক তোমার আমি যে কটা কাজ আগে আমরা দেখেছি আর এখন যেগুলো তুমি করছো জাস্ট টু আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড এন্ড আই নট কম্পেয়ার বাট আই টু আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড দ্যাট legacy lineage connections right in general overall আমি বলছি like there are a lot of um, dark humor, right? Like dark side of, and also the politics also going towards a certain part which is not very linear, like linearly straight leaning to the story, right? এই ডার্ক এপিসোড গুলো আসছে মানে আমি জাস্ট ভেরি থিঙ্কিং অ্যাবাউট সাইকো অ্যানালিটিক্যালি তুমি এগুলো তোমার কাছে ইন্সপায়ার করে কিভাবে দিস ইজ মানে জেনারেলি তুমি কিভাবে মানে অ্যান্টিসিপেট করো সিচুয়েশন কি বা তোমার আশপাশের সিচুয়েশন তোমার কাছে এইভাবে আসে
Hmm.
I think like in my that's how my head is also wired. I feel I don't know why, you know,
Hmm.
হুম
like um and it's there like I said in a lot of music that I listen to, and it's there like in a lot of aggressive music, and there is a lot of darkness in certain genres of music, you know,
হুম
like certain types of rock music, heavy music.
হুম
This darkness is there, you know.
Hmm.
And maybe it's like I also think of writing as a and making art as a kind of therapeutic
হুম
activity.
Hmm. Hmm.
হুম
Primarily that's what it is for me, you know, because um just the situation is I have a job, full-time job. So like I don't rely on this to make money. The
হুম
reason I'm doing is, like I said, primarily it's therapeutic, and partly it's I like I said, there's a pleasure that you get in putting something in someone's hands that you made and seeing them read it,
Hmm.
or
Um,
হুম
that process of doing that. You know, I think
হ্যাঁ
that is
মানে
what I
but also like, so just to my inquiry more clear and transparent. Jeremy, dark body doesn't mean in terms of the negative. Like for example, when you mention certain thing, hell, I consider it is a state,
hmm.
not as a bad state, good state. It's a state of sphere, right? So my J
yeah
experience. The experience করেছে experience করেছে like I'm
Hmm.
not trying to neutralize, I'm just saying this is happening, what's this happening, right? কারণ তোমার এই particular বই নো
Hmm.
এক্সিট এর একটা অন্য
yeah
ভার্সন প্রবাবলি আমরা দেখেছি মানে কোথাও দেখেছি লাইক আই তোমার
Which
টেবিল
one?
দ্য নো এক্সিট এই বইটার
Hmm. Hmm.
আমি কোনো তো পড়েছি এই বইটা আমি তোমার তোমার টেবিলেই পড়েছি সামথিং আমাদের কাছে আছে কিনা আমি বলতে পারবো না কিন্তু
No, I don't.
এটা পড়েছি যখন আমি পড়েছি তখন আমার বারবার
mm,
মনে ছিল যে একটা তোমার বাকি বই এবং মস গ্রিন পড়তে গেলে যেটা মনে হয় যে তোমার একটা খুব সাটল কনসার্ন আছে যেটা খুব যেটা এই যে নিও লিবারাল সোসাইটিকে হ্যাঁ না যে চ্যালেঞ্জ করা যে এভরিথিং ইজ নট ওকে লাইক উই আর ট্রাইং টু প্রিটেন্ড দ্যাট এভরিথিং ইজ ওকে বাট উই আর নট লাইক তো
yeah
সেইটা একটা আমার
I mean
খুবই ইনকোয়ারি ছিল তোমার কাছে যে তোমার তুমি ডার্ক হর্সটা হুম
Yeah, I want to bring up Hess also in this context. Like
হুম
Hess,
Hmm.
I find him very interesting as an author also because he was an author when the Nazis were in power or when they were coming to
Okay.
power.
Hmm.
And he
হুম
was a German, you know,
ওকে
and so that struggle, that conflict is there in his work, you know. Like Steppenwolf, like you see the cover also, it's
Hmm.
হুম
about taming
Hmm.
this or like dealing with this instinct in
Hmm.
that is
হুম
there in each
Yes.
and every one of us, you
Hmm.
know. And I think that's interesting that he
Yeah.
wrote during that time, and that I think his books are very personal, but at the same time they are also very political
হুম
because they are
Obviously.
personal, you know. But you would think that personal and political are two separate things, but you know, because when you're writing about personal, like I don't feel like when a lot of people talk about Palestine and a lot of people are talking about Gaza, Israel, Palestine these days, and um like I actually reflected about it while it was going on, the thick of it. I was actually going through a personal situation where I liked this person and I got rejected by this person,
হুম
right?
Hmm.
And I was feeling very bad
হুম
about that, and it took me a while to process that.
Hmm.
during this whole conflict, while this was going on, the foremost thing in my mind was not Gaza, was not Palestine, was not Israel. It was my petty sense of this rejection, you know.
Hmm.
That's what
Hmm.
preoccupied me the most, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know, like, so on one side you can say that this personal and political are two very different things, but I feel like everything that is happening around you is manifesting in your
Hmm.
personal
Hmm.
Hmm.
situations.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
হ্যাঁ
So
মানে
And I like
হ্যাঁ
this word like dealing when you
হ্যাঁ
share it. And
হ্যাঁ
when you share it, like the hill, you are not considered as a negative. So
no
it's the situation.
situation.
So
I
that
like
is
that.
the
Hmm.
things, yeah. So
Also,
how we deal it in that.
also as a मतलब, this is something interesting, like this is something also for folks going to listen us कि যখন আমরা তোমাকে drive share করি, we received another strange call request to access the drive, right? And then I got to know it's you, right? And
Yeah.
then because this is something we keep talking about, the Zion practice or practice from Southeast Asia, the camouflage.
Hmm.
Like আমি middle of the road, আমি ওকে জিজ্ঞেস করি who is this person, and তুমি যখন বলো অমিতাভ ঘোষের প্রথম publisher, why this person is there, because আমি খুব তাড়াতাড়ি তোমার টেক্সট পড়েছি তাই না, যে oh this is you, like you are making that
Yeah.
camouflage, and think
Hmm.
wow, like the politica is not something which is happening very far, মানে অ্যাকচুয়ালি তো প্যালেস্তাইন আমার থেকে অনেক দূরে, কিন্তু তোমার সাথে যে ঘটনাটা ঘটলো, someone reject you,
Yes, yes.
that rejection is coming from some
Hmm.
other alienation না,
Hmm.
মানে it's not supposed
Hmm.
to be so random.
Yeah.
Hmm.
তো এটা
Hmm.
very
Yeah.
important, like
Yeah.
আমাদের কাছে তো খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট যে বই
Hmm.
বানানোর তো একটা ইন্সপিরেশন হয়।
Hmm.
ইনফ্যাক্ট আমরা এটা ভাবছিলাম তোমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবো যে it's almost few years, right? You are started from 19, maybe কিছুটা আগে থেকে, and now it's 2020, like 2025,
Hmm.
and মাঝে কোভিড পিরিয়ড কে তো আমি প্রতি মাসকে এক বছর ধরি, like it's like a hell, like hell lot of time we have expanded তো হ্যাঁ
Yeah.
মানে যেটা আমরা দুজন জিজ্ঞেস করে
Hmm.
ভাবছিলাম, তুমি একটু যদি জিজ্ঞেস করো যে হ্যাঁ যে ফিউচারটা।
Yeah,
হ্যাঁ
like we are curious now. Now, how you see this medium as a practice? Like, what is kind of like possibilities in this medium? What kind of challenges also you face?
হুম
If you share about it, because as like we shared like Jamaat, so we also want to like reach the people who for them we the medium is very new
হুম
and they are really curious about this
হুম
medium.
হুম
So if you share about that, like some things your
হ্যাঁ
experience and your challenges and what the possibilities,
হ্যাঁ
of
কি ভাবছো, মানে
course.
কোথায় আছি আমরা, কোথায় যাচ্ছি, কি হবে? হ্যাঁ
So from like I've put some slides together and I have some
হুম
stuff to say about where bad press is going.
হুম
So
Hmm.
like I'll contextualize it from that point of view and then we can sort of extrapolate from there.
makes
Yeah.
Ki
sense, হ্যাঁ
generally is
হুম
it going? So Agate question. So we've self-published 14 issues so far and how many do we want to do? Like if you have to
Hmm.
put a number to it. So there's this series of zines by this comics artist called John Porcellano. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name
Hmm.
right.
হুম
He's a Canadian artist and he makes these very poetic, thoughtful, again, very autobiographical zines. And he's been working on this series, I think, since the late 80s or early 90s.
Hmm.
It's called King Cat.
Hmm.
He's published around, I think, this is the 80th issue you're seeing
wow
here. So
হুম
that's,
Hmm.
I think, that's like a, I don't know, like that's like a benchmark for me. That he's been doing it for so many years.
হুম
Our Bombay Underground also. I was talking about Bombay Underground. I came across Himanshu has been making zines since the late 90s.
হুম
So, and he's still making them. And
Hmm.
so it's around a 25 to 30-year-old practice.
হুম
So
Hmm.
I've been doing this for 5 6 years and I feel it's been one of the very few things in my life that has been like consistent for that time.
Hmm.
Mane,
হুম
that time even physically I've been in Bangalore, I've been in Delhi, we've been through
Hmm.
COVID, we've been through all sorts of things, but this is like the one consistent thing that has been there. And it's evolved in interesting ways. It's going in interesting directions. I'm meeting interesting. We wouldn't have met if it wouldn't
Hmm.
have been
exactly
like we wouldn't have been here talking. We wouldn't have been friends.
হুম
So I think it's given me a lot. So it's something that I want to continue doing. So I don't know if I have to put a number. Maybe the number is 80.
Hmm.
There's this that I love called The Sopranos. This also, again, this has this common element, rock and roll and darker themes in rock and roll, and this show sort of explores that, like it explores the character and the depths of amorality that this. So
Hmm.
he's a mob boss, the main character, and it explores his character. The show is an exploration of the character of this person, like this person who does amoral things to make a living. What is his family life like? What is his
Mm.
mental state like? What is he like as a person?
Mm.
So, and I feel like, and there's a lot of, it's about the Italian culture, Italian food, Italian families. Sometimes I think if there was a Bengali version of Sopranos, it would be so good because they talk about food and they talk about family, the that irritating uncle or
Mm.
that grandmother who's short-tempered and nasty.
তুমি কি এটা
you
জানো
know
সৌমিত্র, সরি, এটা আমার আমার কেউ একজন তো বলেছিল, যিনি ফ্রম ইটালি অনলি, আর্কিটেক্ট নিয়ে তার পড়াশোনা, তিনি একটা রিসার্চ প্রোগ্রামে ইন্ডিয়াতে আসার পর কলকাতায় তিনি দেরি হয়ে গেছে খেতে, তিনি আমি বলছিল প্রবলেম নেই, ইটালিয়ানরা অনেক দেরি দেরি করে খায়, এবং ইটালিয়ানরাও বাঙালিদের মতোই অনেক হাত পা ছুড়ে কথা বলে, মানে কথা বলে, ইটস লাইক লট অফ ভেরি এক্সপ্রেসিভ, ওদের অনেক সাইন
yeah,
ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ আছে, এবং
yeah.
সাউন্ড ওয়াইজও মনে হয় যে অলমোস্ট বাংলা শুনছো, মানে কি কি শুনলে মনে হয় যে, তো like তুমি বলো বাংলা হয় কিনা, বাবা লাইক such a
আমাকেও লাগে, like when I see this show, like I see the lot of the family and the obsession with food,
হ্যাঁ
and the importance that is given to food
হ্যাঁ
that they also give.
Yeah.
There are a lot of common things, and I love this show. I'm little obsessed. Not little, I must have seen all the episodes of this show at least 5, 6 times. So
In which
I'm
platform you are watching that?
so this is on Geo Hotstar, but I downloaded them on torrent also
Oh,
back in
হ্যাঁ
college. So I
mhm.
have it on my hard disk.
হুম
Oh,
Um, I don't know if I should say publicly torrent because I might get jailed or something. But
ও
I'm a big fan of torrent. Like I consumed, even now I have a Kindle and I download books from LibGen and read it on my Kindle. And all our zines are available for free to download on our
হুম
website. I'll get to that a little
হুম
shortly. So, like, I also think that I have got a lot from that culture of these things being available,
হুম
because um,
hmm.
otherwise it's expensive also, as a college student also, how much money do you have?
Yeah, yeah,
হুম
You know,
ইয়া
that's
ইয়া
true.
so, like we'll come to that. But anyway, Sopranos has, I think, 84 episodes, so 80 issues of King Cat, 84 episodes of Sopranos. 80 is like seems like a good
ওয়াও
number, right?
অ্যান্ড
There's this
হুম
series of
অফ
comic
কোর্স
series
স্যান্ডম্যান,
called the
ইয়া ইয়া
Sandman, right? Now, Neil Gaiman, I don't know, as a person, he seems to be. I mean, I'm so disappointed.
হুম
Like there's this news out there about him misbehaving with women and
হুম
things like that. Sandman was like, it was a eye opener for me.
অফ
Like I
কোর্স
didn't love all of Sandman,
Mm-hmm.
but seeing these kind of stories being told in comics, like I started with Batman, and if you read Batman and then you read Sandman, it's but Batman is also very interesting. I haven't
Mm.
read too many superhero comics, but Batman also has a lot of variety. But anyway, like this artist Dave McKean, I love his work. He did the covers for Sandman, so his work also, you see, it has that quality to it.
হুম
Done a lot of album covers also for musicians, and anyway, so there are, like, I think, around, again, between 70 to 80 issues of Sandman. So
হুম
again, 80 seems to be a number that is recurring, so I
হুম
don't know what that number is.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd like to hit 100, at some point. And I like fantasizing about things like, I saw a zine. There's this artist in Bangalore. His name is Amitabh Kumar, I think. He used to teach at Shrishti. And at a
Yes,
fest, I
yes.
saw this
Amitabh. Yeah.
Amitabh Kumar, no?
Yeah, I know.
He made this zine with his son, where his son had drawn and he had drawn. His son was like 2, 3 years old,
Oh.
and there's another small zine that I have that has been made with a guy made with his nephew who is like 4, 5, and they looked
ওয়াও
I love them. So I think that there's no end to, like,
Yeah.
when I think that, okay, if I have to make 100 zines, what can each of those zines be? One zine maybe I'll make with my kid one day. One zine I
Mm-hmm.
want to make a recipe book also with my mom. You
ওয়াও
know
Mm.
because she's a working lady, and but she cooks also. But she's
Mm-hmm.
very innovative in her cooking. She's learned recipes from her mother, um, and then she's watched cooking shows, Sanjeev Kapoor, this and that, and she mixes and matches things. We've stayed in
Mm-hmm.
different places.
Mm-hmm.
She and microwave she মাছ বানিয়ে দেয়. Some experiments are not popular at home. মানে
Yeah,
পালক
yeah,
মাছ, পালক মাগুর মাইক্রোওয়েভে ভাবো, মানে we
Yeah.
are বাড়িতে we are like কি কি
yeah, yeah,
হচ্ছেটা
yeah.
কি? But she experiments a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and these stories are there. And
Yeah.
staying in Bangalore, actually staying alone, I started to cook because I just missed eating fish. মানে যখন
Mm-hmm.
তুমি বাইরে যাবে খেতে মাছ, it's such a, মানে either it's too expensive or it's not too fried. বাড়িতে
Mm-hmm.
যেরকম একটা প্লেন ঝোলের মাছ where
Yes,
you can
yes.
actually taste the
Wow.
fish, you don't get that. So I started,
Mm-hmm.
and then and I used to call my mother and just ask her, কি বলো কি করতে হবে, কি আনতে হবে আর কি করতে হবে, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm.
think like this conversation started between us when it came to
Mm.
cooking and food. So that's also another thing I'd love to do. তারপরে আমার দুজন দাদুরা থাকে আমাদের সাথে, both
Mm-hmm.
of them also write.
Wow.
Wow.
So I'd love to, and they've written a lot of stuff. So I was one zine that I wanted to do. I don't know. I have all these ideas for zines. I don't know when I'll do them. I think you'll be familiar with this phenomena of having like 100 zine ideas, and
Oh,
being
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Kabe korbo,"
হবে
and but yeah, I mean that's why I've kept this number key every year three somehow I'll try and do,
Yeah.
So there's no end to it really, and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you've talked about the making of it, but also like another aspect that is, I think, equally important when it comes to craft also, I've realized, is the selling and the
Mm.
distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So it's like I said, it started with ICF,
Mm.
Indie Comic Fest. But
Mm-hmm.
like say ICF is saying we won't take zines now.
Yeah.
So like I've discovered other platforms like Bombay Zine Fest,
Mm-hmm.
that take, then there are other platforms. But looking forward, how are we bad press thinking about it? So at Indie Comics Fest, the founder of Indie Comics Fest, Bharat Murthy, he
Mm.
he advocates a lot for this portal called
Mm.
pothi.com. Have you guys heard about it?
I
Pothi.com.
saw once Puthi. Mm.
So what is great about Pothi is right now as self-publishers, what we have to do is we have to make the books, right? And then we have to print them, then we have to take them and sell them. Even if we have an online store, we have to
Mm-hmm.
have an inventory, and
Mm.
maintain it. What Pothi does is it prints on demand,
Yeah,
and it does
exactly.
it for you. So you send them your PDF. What it's saying is you can print any PDF as a book. You send them the PDFs for your book. It adds it to the store. When people order it from there, it prints on demand and sends.
Mm.
So
Okay.
Bharat, these are Bharat's books that are there on Pothi.
Mm-hmm.
So Pothi takes a cut and they give you a cut. So one thing I want to do is like I'd love to like publish all my books on Pothi, on
Okay.
all the zines
This
on
is good
Pothi.
convenient, na? Like you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to be, you don't need to storage.
Yeah.
So all your online,
Mm.
anyway, I don't have very many online sales,
Mm.
So it's like I set up a store, but my sales from there have been very minimal.
Mm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
always, I need to keep updating the inventory because every year I just print three zines,
Mm.
three
Mm-hmm.
like 20, 30 copies, maybe a 50 max of each zine.
Mm-hmm.
So change korte hoy, then you're
Mm.
selling offline also, you have to
Mm-hmm.
update the inventory, you have to publicize your site, and what I've seen is আমার তো ইনস্টাগ্রামই publicity করি আমি, and it's unpaid. So the funnel is very steep. Man, if I have
Mm.
like 800 followers on Instagram, maybe 10 of them have ever, ordered zines online. So it's not enough to even take the headache. So that way this
Mm-hmm.
portal seems to be like a good, solve for that. You know
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and it comes with Bharat's endorsement. So
Mm.
great. So I've been wanting to put my books up here for a long time. I haven't gotten to it, like many
Mm-hmm.
things. So this is one of the things that I want to do. Also, I want to put my books on Amazon, on the
Mm-hmm.
Kindle store. Because I read a lot on Kindle, and there are some publishers who've already done that. Like
Yes.
is- Churma has put his Inklab zine on
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
the. So you can actually download it for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. You know.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
Great. Then there's this other zine. I just searched zine on Amazon and I found this zine. That
Mm-hmm.
has been made by, I think, students at this community of students in Ahmedabad. I think it was at NID or maybe SEPT. they made this zine called the Pen and
Hmm.
Chai Community Zine.
Hmm.
So Amazon, I think Kindle, I have a Kindle. So it's a very powerful device. You can get access to, like, imagine if I have my zines up there, I have this thing that anyone anywhere in the world can see them, if they
Exactly.
know about,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
marketing is one aspect of it, but once people know about it, and if you actually search zine on Amazon, the number of things you get is very less. You don't
Hmm.
get much in
Hmm.
terms of variety. So I feel it's got a lot of potential as a place for more zines. Basically,
Yeah,
there's a
I
lot
think
of
we slowly need to occupy all of this like so-called mainland and then turn them out to like the way we want. Like এখন এগুলো explore হয়নি বলে we still need to wait for something else because otherwise, but this is important area, the domain, what you brought up, sales and distribution. Because
Yeah.
technically we don't have, no? Like we are thinking about like all other things having other agencies, right? যারা তোমাকে fund করে, but even বইয়েরও, right? Book summit, like how many time summit we experience, like we don't have. হয় না আমরা যখন শুরু করেছিলাম we don't even people do consider our platform as like more research participatory. Okay, we are not just a publisher, like we don't publish for publication, right? তার মানে we need more community যারা একসাথে বসে আমরা কথা বলতে পারি what is the future endeavor, like এটার কি
Hmm.
হবে, like
Hmm.
we to have our books but then what
Yeah.
what is next? Okay, strategy
I,
নিয়ে কি
I
হবে? হ্যাঁ।
yeah,
Resources
like
গুলো. Yeah.
I think of ourselves as like a bit niche,
হুম
in the sense that,
Hmm.
like, so out of 100 people, maybe five people will only like the stuff,
হুম
but to get to those five people, 100 people need to know that this is a
Yeah.
thing, and then out of that, five people who like it will find it. But you also
Hmm.
need to
মানে
reach
this
those
is I
100
think also
people.
this is probably perfectly because আমরা যখন তোমার বইটা পড়ছিলাম for the last 1 year we're thinking like you and Bad Pets together যে
Yeah.
of course like there will be a lot of mainstream popular like বাকি সব ডিসিপ্লিনের মতো জিনেও, right? Like there will be things which is very happy everything was nice
I'd love to be mainstream. I'd love to be mainstream, but the thing is, till I'm not, I have to figure out, like I want to, obviously, when I write something, I want as many people to like it as
হুম
I can. Like
Yes, yes.
I'm not writing with this in mind ki I only want five people to write it. No, I want as many people to write it. But I think this is also like based on the 5, 6 years of taking books out and selling to people. This
হুম
is what I've seen, and as a publisher and as a writer, I'm also trying different things. It's an
হুম
ongoing experimental process, trying different things and seeing, okay, what there are some zines of ours that people like more than the other ones,
হুম
you know so that's also an ongoing process to figure out. Now that's happening parallelly,
হ্যাঁ
but
হ্যাঁ
also through distribution. Now, what can you do with sales? And one is through content, you can reach more people, but through
Hmm.
sales and distribution also you can reach more.
Obviously.
আই থিঙ্ক
Obviously.
এটা একটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট কি নোটে আমরা সামারাইজ করতে পারি এই
Hmm.
কনভারসেশনটা, লাইক মানে থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ, লাইক ইটস উই আর এক্সপেক্টিং ফর লাইক 90 মিনিটস ইজ মোর লাইক উই আর হ্যাভিং কনভারসেশন ফর সো
Yeah.
লং, বাট একটা ইনসাইট পাওয়া গেল যে লাইক হোয়াট ইজ মেইন এন্ড হোয়াট ইজ অফ সেন্টার, হাউ পেরিফেরি রিয়েলি ওয়ার্কস, লাইক ডার্ক স্পেস গুলো কোথায় কথা বলার জায়গাতে।
Hmm.
জাস্ট কুইকলি কলটা সামারাইজ হওয়ার আগে জাস্ট তোমাকে যদি কেউ যোগাযোগ করতে চায় কিভাবে যোগাযোগ করবে এবং সেটা যদি তুমি একটু আমাদেরকে জানাও so that
So just two more quickly, I'll talk
Yes,
हाँ
about
हाँ
a
yes,
हाँ
few more.
sure.
So I've seen with Crosscat also is a
हम्म
publisher.
Yes, yes.
हम्म
They're all thing. I think we have these common. We love the
Yes,
similar
yes.
things,
yeah
and they go to Tripura book fair every year.
हम्म,
So like book fairs, I want to do more book fairs. Like I
okay
did a
Hmm.
literature fest. I did a Ashok
Hmm.
for my first lit fest, and my first time I took my zines to college this year to Ashoka University for their lit fest.
Hmm.
So I didn't sell that much honestly, but like I just want to take it more to more
हम्म
colleges, to more lit and
Hmm.
see
हम्म
kind of
Hmm.
people's, you know
Yeah,
they
even
get so
that
that.
in our curriculum, like in school, even in college,
हम्म
this practice not very popular. I
हम्म
mean, that the medium is
And I think
very,
हम्म
yeah, very interesting and
people don't
very
know.
interactive as well as. And when I applied, sometimes they really liked it. Like one of
Yeah,
my
yeah.
friend, like Antara, and she applied the zine method and with her student, and then they really loved the math. after a point. I mean, the
Wow.
math, they like really, the math is very like sometimes really
Mm,
very hard. But when this medium come, they really like the format
mm,
and they
Yeah,
like
yeah.
complete their homework. That the things like
Oh,
really
oh, that's
mm.
interesting. Yeah.
আর আমি দেখেছি there have been like zine makers like Ipsa Saha. She works out of
Yes.
Bangalore.
Yeah.
A lot of she makes
Background
she's a
from
scientist.
science. Yeah.
Mm,
She's a scientist, and I
mm.
met another zine maker. Name is Aditi Kulkarni, based out of Bombay.
Yes.
She's a
Aditi
mathematician.
Kulkarni. Yeah.
I love
Baroda,
her.
right?
No, she's from Bombay, but she was at Kolkata. She was with ISI. She was
আচ্ছা
doing working for a year. Now she's in Chennai at the, I think, C.V. Raman Institute. She's a
আচ্ছা
mathematician,
আচ্ছা
but she makes
ওকে
very funny things. She's made a zine about being a non-Bengali in Kolkata for the first time, and it's so
ওয়াও
beautiful.
হুম
I I haven't spent much time in Kolkata. I felt she knows things about Kolkata that I don't know, and it was beautiful to read how she's looking at Kolkata and how she's living in Kolkata.
নাইস।
হুম
So,
তো
um,
আমরা আমাদের সময়ের খুবই
হুম
একদম নিকটতম।
হ্যাঁ এক্ষুনি কেটে যাবে কল বন্ধ হয়ে যেতে পারে
And
হ্যাঁ
we are really happy to
হ্যাঁ
have you,
হ্যাঁ
Soumitra. And
তুমি
the
যে
way you presented it, it is really like wonderful. Um, yeah, that is like, thank you so much.
তুমি
Like,
আমাদেরকে একটু অ্যাড্রেসটা শেয়ার করো না যদি জাস্ট
huh,
আমি কনসার্ন
yes.
কলটা যাতে অ্যাব্রাপ্টলি না শেষ হয়ে যায় হ্যাঁ
So how
keep
people will
হ্যাঁ
communicate with you?
হ্যাঁ কিভাবে কানেক্ট করবে
Yeah, so all our zines, firstly, on this, I think it's a good play page to end.
হুম
This is our website. It's called Bad Press Open Library, badpressopenlibrary.wordpress.com, where you can get all our zines, all the PDFs of all our zines. I had this dream also of people downloading PDFs and printing even the zines themselves, you know.
হুম
Like
Mm.
I would love, like, say, college students to do that, you know. Like
Mm.
if you like it, you can go to your Xerox shop in college where you print your notes, your friends' notes, or Xerox your friends' notes and print zines and
Mm.
yeah
print your own zines also. You know, it's like powerful when you can take a PDF and print a book,
yeah
and
exactly yeah
then you realize you can do it. You
yeah
know, so I think, like, yeah. So you can see all of them here on Instagram. We are Hello Bad Press on all socials. Email is hellobadpress@gmail.com. Instagram is Hello Bad Press.
Okay.
Yeah.
আমরা অ্যাড করে দেবো দিস ইজ গোইং টু বি দ্যাট এন্ড অফ দ্য ক্রেডিটস হ্যাঁ বাট থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ সৌমিত্র শর্ট কুইক নোটিসে আমরা কথা
Thank you
বলতে
for having
পেরেছি
me.
হ্যাঁ আমরা
Yeah,
আরো
I
অনেক
want
কথা
to.
বলবো হুম
No, Amaru, like last 5 years, I haven't had like many platforms where I've gotten to talk about this work and reflect on it. Also, I think like there are things that I realized about my own work even while preparing this and talking to you, that I wouldn't have realized or thought about. So that way, it was a very enriching conversation for me also. So
ইটস মিউচুয়াল বেশ কথা হচ্ছে
thank you.
আমরা রেকর্ডিংটা অফ করি তাহলে উইল বি সামারাইজ আরামসে টেক কেয়ার হ্যাঁ
Yeah.
হুম
See you.